So with the lips, it's going to be a little trickier because everybody's lips are going to be different. You're going to have closed lips, you're going to have lips that are like open a little bit, you're going to have lips that have teeth. Some of you will have your lips at an angle or the teeth at an angle. So everybody's going to be different. But right now I'm going to show you some tips on how to do the lips. So take some of these tips and then try to work with your own way with each individual picture. Okay, so your first step is looking at your grid. You want to make little marks on either side of where either side of the lips are going. So I'm just going to make a little mark on one side, a little mark on the other side, where the middle is going to go, and then where the bottom is going to go. Okay, so I really want to pay attention, especially in my grid, where each of those little areas of the lips go. Okay? Once you get that, what you want to do is start to very lightly sketch the top part of the lip. So right now I'm just going to follow this lip here and connect the dots. So very, very lightly. You can darken in this middle area here, but on these sides just do very lightly because most of it is going to be drawn in using shading. Then I'm going to take the bottom and I'm going to connect those. And you already see these lines already drawn in a little bit, but just when you're going to do your own, that way you know how to start. Okay, so before you do any type of shading, the next step is to get that middle line here that separates, okay? So if you have teeth, you're going to have two lines. If your mouth is closed, you're going to have one line. And then you're just going to gradually try to get that line in there and follow. Okay. Once you get that, you want to find those darker areas and you're going to apply the shading with that. So my darker areas on these lips that I'm following is right in here. I'm going to darken up on that line. But on your paper, it might be, when you go to do your grid area, it might be in a different spot. I'm just going to gradually add just a little bit more shading. Down here, I can see there's more shading. On the sides here, there's some. On this side, there's some. And then I'm going to take my blending stump, smooth those in, and then I'm going to take a lot of the lead that I got on my blending stump from those darkest areas, and I'm going to apply the shading or the lead that I got on from shading the dark areas. I'm going to apply it into those lighter areas of the lip. So basically I'm kind of drawing with my blending stump. And I'm also concentrating on where all the highlights are. I'm not going to put too much color in where it's highlighted. Right now on these lips, it's mostly like in the middle here. And then I'm going to do it down below here. I think I need to add just a little bit more shading right down here. Use my blending stump. A lot of the highlights end up being like on the middle area of both the top and bottom of the lips. For the most of the time. I mean, like I said, everybody's picture is going to be different depending on the light source and the shadows. But one of the most important things to make this appear like it has dimension is putting in those little lines, like the wrinkles in your lips. I like to start on the bottom of my lip and just kind of barely touch the paper and get all these little lines that kind of come up from the bottom of the lip. and I'm kind of staggering them, like I'm barely seeing them. If you find that it's too dark, take the back of your eraser, tap away some of that lead to kind of tone it down a little bit. And then you'll see that it comes from the middle also of the lip. So I'm going to bring those down, so almost like kind of like overlapping these two. Sometimes I might go darker in some areas, and some of the areas will be a little lighter. You just got to follow what you see. And right now it looks almost kind of too perfect, so I'm going to take away some of that lead. Maybe what I'll also do is add a little bit more value on top, kind of smooth out those little lines I made a little bit, so it's just very subtle. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the top. I have these lines also, the crinkle or the wrinkles in your lips. Okay, you just gotta follow what you see. Some of your lips you may only see the like wrinkles on like the top or just the bottom. I don't know, it just all depends. Okay, I feel like the bottom lip had more wrinkles than this top lip here that I'm trying to duplicate. Okay, and then to even make it pop even more, eventually we'll add more darker values in there. I'll go a little darker where I see those darker spots. Okay, and I'll work on that. Use my blending stump again. Okay, so once you get the lips, then what you're going to do is end up shading around it. So you can see here, there's some shadows. A lot of times the shadows are like underneath the lips here, so you really want to look for those areas. But right now I'm just following this picture. Okay, so I'll work on that for a little bit more and try to get some of these values around it to make it look. And I kind of lost it here a little bit. It looks the same and I lost that bottom lip. So sometimes when that happens, I'm just going to apply a little bit more value here, so I can see the difference between that bottom lip and where the shadows are under that bottom lip. And then not so much on this lip here, but on some people's lips you'll notice that like there's sometimes like in between here like this line that forms almost like it's a white line. Take a look at your picture and see if you have it. Let me blend this in here and I'll show you what I mean. You're gonna end up having like this dip here that comes. But here, see this like white line? This is sometimes what you're gonna see in some of your pictures. Okay. Okay, so continue to work on yours and try a couple more, and then I will do a video on what to do with teeth.